You cannot live this many lifetimes, but you can read this many lifetimes. Hello and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hi, my name is Emma, complet grad, film grad. That is the first time I've actually said that opening a video, which is just a little bit mad. I've also not filmed a sit-down video since February, which is also a little bit wild. Even though I may not make videos, and even though I may be absent from the internet, there is one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that you can always count on me to do. Buy a shit ton of books. I know I may sometimes be absent from online, but you can always count on me to be your resident little book gremlin. I would like to say this is a support group for, you know, little book gremlins such as yourselves. This offers no support. This offers bad ideas and more impulse spending. But look, you know, libraries, it's fine, it's fine. But as you can see, got quite a little haul here. Oh my god, what haul. The worst bit about this is this isn't even all the books that I could show you. I've got so many at the moment that I haven't shared with you that I've themed this. This is now themed. So these are my latest acquisitions that I haven't read, because I have bought loads that I haven't showed you. Oh my god, I'm like the sun. I am like the sun. Look at me. There's why is this happening to me? Has literal filmmaking degree, has literal masters in filmmaking. Still can't deal with the sun. Thanks. Anyway, I've basically been hoarding books for so long that I've managed to organise it thematically. This is a list of the acquisitions I have got recently that are all 20th century. We are going to do this in a particular order, for once, can you believe that? And we're just going to go through this chronologically. We are going to go ahead and start all the way in the 1920s with me reorganising this the other way around now. Okay, hang on 1 second. We're going to go ahead and start in 1924 with Thomas Mann's The Magic Mountain. So I picked this one up second hand. I bought it in Primo bookshop. The reason I bought this, so Thomas Mann is Truman. He's the one who wrote Death and Menace. So this is him. And so this, just the title seemed really, really familiar. And I was like, do I know this book? I feel like I know this book. And it's because I have images from this, from this film. I haven't seen this movie, but I have these images in my mind. And I was like, reading the blurb being like, is this the same thing? Because I always kind of wanted to watch this film, but then never somehow committed myself to watching it. So when I saw this, and I've looked for this online before, and I'd never really put two and two together of the film and the book until as I was stood there reading the blurb. So I was like, oh, this is that weird thing where they go into the mountains and it's like a psychiatric ward or something. The movie looks very, very aesthetic. Stylized is probably the better way of phrasing it, isn't it? Film degree, it's aesthetic. Stylized, heavily stylized. It's a chunky boy, it's 700 pages. We know the long-standing thing of me fearing of committing myself to a book that's more than 400 pages. But if this, you know, how much was it? It was £3. I was like, look, I've thought about this so many times, I'm just gonna buy it. Do I own Death and Menace? Do I? I swear I do. Anyway, a spectacular novel of ideas, The Magic Mountain is one of Germany's most formative contributions to modern European literature, both of the themes it discusses and for its highly sophisticated structure. Young, naive and impressionable, Hans Castrop arrives at a sanatorium high in the Swiss Alps. That's scratching something in my brain, do you know what I mean? A sanatorium high in the Swiss Alps. Is this spooky? If anyone of you have read it, can you tell us if this is spooky? Is this good spooky October reading? I'm filming this in October, God knows when you'll see it, but is this spooky? Tell us. Arrives at a sanatorium high in the Swiss Alps to find himself surrounded by exponents of wildly differing political and philosophical attitudes. Amid sickness and decay, he is forced to explore the meaning of love and death and the relationship of one to the other. As he does so, the pattern that emerges from his discussions with his companions and from his own musings becomes a symbol of the forces below, forces that would culminate in the First World War and the destruction of the old order. I mean, you gotta give it to them. As far as blurbs go, that's a pretty fucking good one. It is just the kind of thing of a remote building, kind of like a castle, kind of like a boarding school, like, you know, these big remote buildings with lots of people somewhere in like the Swiss Alps, or like, I don't know, the English countryside, or like, I don't know, the fucking desert, I don't know, like those kind of things where you know everything, then kind of like it becomes like this little island, because you're out removed from society, right? So it becomes this little island within this network and this social frame. They basically construct their own society with your own rules, your own like, you know, attitudes towards authority and those kind of things. Like it's fascinating, these little like social little microcosms, I guess is what they are, right? I just find that quite fun. And like, yes, okay, this is 700 pages, but the font's really small. But this is one of those that I would commit to reading at the beginning of a year. And I don't think I'll read it soon. I will obviously read it, well, I will obviously read all the books that I buy. This is just one I feel like you need to, you know, really be in the mood for. We shall see when I shall read you. No time soon, I don't think, but this scratches an itch. I feel like, you know, you need to be in the mood for this. Let me know if any of you have read it and like rate this, because more of what if you've seen the film, because I think I might just, do I watch the film or read the book first? Maybe I'll watch the film, who knows. I don't know if this is sexy setting because it's a sanatorium in the high Swiss Alps, but like, you know what I mean? It's very, yeah. It has a very specific backdrop and it's very easy for me to visualise, especially as a dyslexic and a filmmaker. Getting over a cold. It's not going well. Next, we are travelling forwards to 1928, Ashenden, by, oh god, Maugham. I literally have a degree in literature. Have I mentioned that recently? I have a degree in this and I still can't. The reading of the words is still hard. The first spy story is written by someone who had been there and done that. The Times. Ooh. When war broke out in 1914, Maugham was dispatched by the British Secret Service to Switzerland under the guise of completing a play. Multilingual, knowledgeable about many European countries, and a celebrated writer, Maugham had the perfect cover. And the assignment appealed to his love of romance and of the ridiculous. The stories collected in Ashenden are rooted in Maugham's own experiences as an agent, reflecting the ruthlessness and brutality of espionage, its intrigue and treachery, as well as its absurdity. Ooh! That again is a very, very sexy blurb. I've really not read much spy stuff. I love a good spy movie, of course. Everybody loves a good goddamn spy movie. But I'm not particularly partial to, I haven't read any of the John le Carré books, I haven't read any Ian Fleming. It feels very boyish, do you know what I mean? It feels like such a boys club kind of thing that I'm just like, I'd rather read about the pretty dresses. What I do, however, like are all of these 20th century upper British class society novels. I'm such a fan of those. You guys know my proclivity for Mitford. I love her stuff. It's so, I don't know, it's that like stuffy British aristocracy kind of thing. It's so fun. And also when I bought this, my friend saw that I bought it and was like, oh, you bought Mum? I'm like, yeah, girly. Her and I have a shared love of Brideshead, so I kind of hope that this falls in that vein of like Mitford and like Evelyn Waugh kind of thing. I'm pretty sure it does, so we shall see. Oh, big font! Yeah, boy. Is this a collection of stories? Is this one big story, or is it a collection of stories? And again, we're probably going to Switzerland because Switzerland is romantic and exciting. Oh my god. Is it? Well, I mean, I haven't been to Switzerland in such a long time, but like, mountains. That, yeah, they just hits different. I love the sea, don't get me wrong, but like the mountains. Yes, I like being on top of a hill, okay? I just like it. It's very, I get why people built castles on top of hills. I would have done the same thing. Tell me, are you one book or are you many books? Tell me if you are the stories or the not. These are stories collected in here, but like, tell me which ones. Are they all different ones? I've come across Maugham stuff a lot before, but I've never actually ended up picking any of it up because it just didn't sound as exciting as this one does. This one does sound a little bit more like, I don't say thriller, but like, yeah, I guess precursor to like all the Bond stuff and like the John le Carré stuff. I don't know where they fit in time-wise, so don't quote me on that. That's just like my impression of somebody who hasn't read any of these three people. And also, I mean, I know, I shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I know. But this, look at it. It's that whole British aristocracy generational wealth thing. Also, like, this, you know, this like fun idea that you get all these like fun, cool, amazing jobs, but like, you know, nepotism, so you don't actually have to work for them, you just get given these fun, cool jobs. And then also you're gonna have time to like spend money and write. Why? Because your family pays for everything, because that's the whole point of generational wealth. Artists. I mean, that's an interesting conclusion I've just come to, but you know what I mean. They're basically just playing Lord Byron, you know? This feels like something I would read by the pool. It feels like a summer read. Again, I'm judging books by their covers. This is the first time I've actually wanted to read a spy story. And yes, this is from 1928. Don't know if all the stories end in this after 1928, but that's the number that I found. Moving on to... Can you believe I don't own a single little bit of Hemingway? Because I don't. So this is Hemingway, Old Man and the Sea. The Old Man and the Sea. I didn't know that it was this short. So I saw it and I was like, you know what? Why not? One of my friends is like writing something and they let me read a bit of it and I was like, why have you got so many short sentences? And they were like, well, is it Hemingway said to use like lots of short sentences? I'm like, okay. So, you know, I just want to see the inspiration. It is silly not to hope, he thought. Besides, I believe it is a sin. Set in the Gulf Stream off the coast of Havana, this magnificent fable is the tale of an old man, a young boy, and a giant fish. This story of heroic endeavour won Hemingway the Nobel Prize for Literature. How have I... filling gaps in your library. It stands as a unique and timeless vision of the beauty and grief of man's challenge to the elements. So this is like maybe Dick, right? Being punished for my jokes with my coughing. What else has Hemingway written? Fiesta, Death in the Afternoon, A Movable Feast, For Whom the Bell Tolls. That is a sexy title. This is short, this is like 100 pages. I'm gearing up to do a video of like classics for like about 100 pages, like 100, 150 pages. So I'm sure this will make the list. I also just think this is a pretty edition. I obviously heard of this a bunch of times, I just had no idea that this was so short. So this was a no-brainer, really. It's me walking into a bookshop and being like, I can't possibly leave without this. So I didn't. And sorry, that was a little segue to 1952. We are now going to go ahead and travel forwards to 1958 with Truman Capote, Breakfast at Tiffany's. I bought this and then later in the day my friends messaged me being like, hey, they're doing like a screening thing in our garden, wanna come? And I was like, hell yeah! It's like one of those like silent cinema things, and they were playing Breakfast at Tiffany's. And me and my friend were watching it and we were just like, we kept giggling so much because like, I've seen this film before but I don't think I've ever listened to it. I think I watched it as a teenager because it's a cult classic, but I never actually listened to the script. It's pretty fucking funny actually. So yeah, Truman Capote's Breakfast at Tiffany's. This is a short story, this is a collection of his short stories. Capote. And here is Breakfast at Tiffany's, House of Flowers, A Diamond Guitar, A Christmas Memory. This is also about 150 pages. So again, no idea this was so short, so I was like, don't bloody mind if I do. We all want to just, in a way, saunter around and be holly-go-lightly. I have always wanted to do this look as a Halloween costume. Literally always. I think I just need to commit and do it, like, because or I'll spend my entire life wishing I'd done this. I need to, I really do. One of the 20th century's most gorgeously romantic fictions. It's New York in the 1940s, where the martinis flow from cocktail hour till Breakfast at Tiffany's, and nice girls don't, except, of course, Holly Golightly. Pursued by mafia gangsters and playboy millionaires, Holly is a fragile eyeful of tawny hair and turned-up nose, a heartbreaker, a perplexer, a traveller, a tease. She is irresistibly top banana in the shop department, and one of the shining flowers of American literature. I'm excited to look at this as well from like obviously the feminist perspective and like how much is Holly Golightly the female gaze or like how much is it I just want to like I just want to know. I just want to read my silly little books and have a silly little good time. And in the classic Emma theme, yeah, I can't believe I didn't own this. She's now just something very romantic and romanticisable about like the 1940s, you know, if you just forget like the historic war like bits of it, then you can romanticize it in a very like, oh, golden age, oh, kind of thing. You know, just enjoy the fairy tale bits and forget the real world, no, history, don't be daft, this is fiction for God's sakes. I just want to know how she's written as a character because obviously we know Holly Golightly so well through Audrey Hepburn's portrayal. I think I'll really enjoy this. As far as 20th century stuff goes, this seems like a pretty obvious one. For the girls. For the girlies. I'm sure you'll be screaming at me being like, Emma, there's so much more to it than cocktail parties. Good. Let the book impress me. Let it impress me. But again, it's this kind of thing of that, for me, like New York and like that kind of like era is again such a specific aesthetic, but it's so easy to visualize and like put yourself there. That's one of those things I'm really drawn to, right? Is very very solid, like, time and place that I can very much like pad out mentally as to what it looks like, so that I can just feel more like I'm in it. Like, that's why I often read things, again, about certain places and time periods, just because I can mentally, you know, I've already done a chunk of world building that I can then superimpose, or I like watch a bunch of films I can superimpose, and then it's just more fun and more enjoyable, and it's pretty, and I can see stuff. Do I mean I can literally, well, you know, I mean, if you're dyslexic, you know, you can like see it, so. I need a good, strong setting and aesthetic. I like it, that is all. Next, we are travelling forwards in time to actually something that was more collected, which is like 1950s and 1960s. This is Borges, Labyrinths. This is a collection of short stories along those lines. The reason that I bought this was because in Umberto Eco's Name of the Rose, there's a library in it. There's a big point of it is a library. Umberto Eco said that the library was inspired quite a bit by one of the short stories in here, which is Borges is, I don't get it. The Library of Babel. Babel. It's a library. These are all short stories. I have not read a single one yet. Well, no, I kind of like started reading a page and then I stopped because I fell asleep. But there are loads and loads and loads of different fictions in here. And there are also essays and parables. I've never read any Borges. Again, somebody that I've heard spoken about so often, like you can't do a degree in literature and like avoid Borges, you can't do it. I've never read much like South American literature. I've stayed more, you know, less than canon. We all need to start somewhere, I guess. I could literally do like I recently this is not for this book haul. I recently bought David Damrosch's Around the World in 80 Books. He's quite a famous professor of comparative literature at Harvard and stuff. I read some of his essays and stuff as a student. That was smart side reading, and I could do this kind of shit, you know. I'm like, book journey, see the whole world. But that's why it's so fun to read different things and different people from different places and time, because you get to just soak up all of the world's existence. It's the second best thing to going out and living.
What are you doing?
Filming.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going pretty good.
What are you talking about?
This is a 20th century book haul, and I've organised them by date.
Have you read any of them?
It's a book haul.
Are you going to read any of them?
No. Yeah, it's just fun because books are exploring, and you cannot live this many lifetimes, but you can read this many lifetimes. So, probably the greatest 20th century author never to win the Nobel Prize, according to The Economist. Jorge Luis Borges, please don't even, was a literary spellbinder whose gripping tales of magic, mystery and murder are shot through with deep philosophical paradoxes. This collection brings together many of his stories, including the celebrated Library of Babel, The Garden of Forking Paths, Fumes and the Memorious, and Pierre Menard, author of The Quicksand. Oh, that is a mouthful. Your dyslexic girl is suffering over here, okay? In later life, dogged by increasing blindness, Borges... Oh! Louis! I just remembered something that you might find interesting. The reason that I bought this is one of Borges' stories, The Library of Babel. It's part of the inspiration for Eco's the library in the Abbey. And I've just read the bit where it said, in later life, dogged by increasing blindness, so Borges goes blind. It's for, you know, the George character. George is the basis for the Borges character.
I don't know who that. I've not read it. I don't know.
Well, you'll find him, a blind dude. Intertextuality. You have to read lots of stuff because the people that you read have also read lots of stuff. You don't wanna miss the reference, because that would be embarrassing. In later life, dogged by increasing blindness, Borges used essays and brief, tantalising parables to explore the enigmas of life, identity and imagination. Playful and disturbing, scholarly and seductive, his is a haunting and utterly distinctive voice. Yeah, that's why I bought it, because Echo said that, it's all going together. Louis is currently reading Name of the Rose. He refused. He tried to read my copy and then bought himself a copy because he couldn't read it because I had too many annotations in it, my book. But that's not a me problem, it's a him problem. That's what it was. I'm so pleased that I knew there was a thing. I knew there was a thing and I remembered the thing and I found the thing. Cool. I'll move on now. I don't know if you guys will be surprised that I didn't own this. We're going to move forwards to 1963. This is Sylvia Plath, the bell jar. It's I know. I've never ever really been seized with the desire to read this. I think a lot of people that I know that like, of my like girlfriends who like are very into books and love literature, I think a lot of them read this as teenagers or like very early 20s. I stayed away from that because I was not mentally stable to read anything, you know. If you've been on Tumblr in like 2014, I think there was like a little bit of like cultish Sylvia Plath like worship if you're a bit more like, you know, espresso depresso, shall we say, and sort of also like a bit of a dark academia kind of thing going on there too. So because of that, I think I avoided her very much as a teenager and as an early 20s, which is still in my opinion a teenager. I finally bought Bell Jar. Sylvia Plath's obviously a very interesting, quite tragic character of modern literature as a person. This is kind of autobiographical, right? So I just definitely don't think that I was mentally stable to read Sylvia Plath when I was younger. I'm fucking fine now, so I think now this is okay. Working as an intern for a New York fashion magazine in the summer of 1957, Esther Greenwood is on the brink of her future. She's also on the edge of a darkness that makes her world increasingly unreal. Esther's vision of the world shimmers and shifts, day-to-day living in the sultry city, her crazed men friends, the hot dinner dances. The Bell Jar, Sylvia Plath's only novel, is partially based on Plath's own life. It has been celebrated for its starkly funny and razor-sharp portrait of 1950s society and has sold millions of copies worldwide. It was a queer, sultry summer, the summer they electrocuted the Rosenbergs, and I didn't know what I was doing in New York. I'm stupid about executions. The idea of being electrocuted makes me sick, and that's all there was to read about in the papers. Goggle-eyed headlines staring up at me on every street corner at the fustry, peanut-smelling mouth of every subway. Fustry. It had nothing to do with me, but I couldn't help wondering what it would be like, being burned alive all along your nerves. Well, you know what, yeah, thank fuck I didn't read this as a teenager. What the Jesus Christ. It's very gripping, but there's a reason, yeah, that I've avoided the Bell Jar and Sylvia Plath generally, because she's like bound up in that kind of like, you know, bit more rest and relaxation kind of vibes, so. Moving then slightly forwards to 1969, I bought some more Anaïs Nin. I told you guys before that I bought the little, like the tiny book, read that, really enjoyed it. Then I also bought her novel, which is A Spy in the House of Love. I didn't really, that was just a bit too detached for me, like I didn't really get into it, I didn't enjoy that one as much. But this is her collection of short stories. This is Anaïs Nin, Delta of Venus. A joyous display of the erotic imagination. In Delta of Venus, Anaïs Nin conjures up a glittering cascade of sexual encounters. Exploring her own language of the senses, she explores an area that was previously the domain of male writers, Zard, among others, and brings to it her own unique perceptions. Her vibrant and impassioned prose evokes the essence of female sexuality in a world where only love has meaning. This is a bunch of short stories. How many hours? There's quite a lot in here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 15 in here. 3 of them I've actually read because they come from that short story. She writes fantastically. She really does. And I really enjoyed all of her short stories. And that's why I was disappointed by Spy in a House of Love, because I thought it would be like more of that, but it wasn't really, which was just a big shame. So I think this will much more float my boat. And yeah, more of the women who have written erotica. This woman helped pave the way for all of the smutty romances that you have been reading. This woman. We thank you for your service. Excellent. I mean, that's all there really is to say at this point from my perspective, is it's well-written erotica. And next up we're embarking on a different decade. This is from the 1970s. This is Joan Didion, Play It As It Lays. If you look closely, you can just see some tears as well, if anybody's wondering. I bought her Year of Magical Thinking. I mentioned that already. I'm actually reading it at the moment. I've read about a quarter of it. It's the book that she wrote about the year after the loss of her husband, because he just died of a massive heart attack. So there's a lot of, you know, shock, sort of grief, obviously, with all of that. And I'm only a quarter in, but I've cried a bunch of times already. Not necessarily just by anything she's specifically said, but more that it's just fucking sad. And I like her writing style already. And I actually bought this before I started reading that, but I just kind of wanted something more, yeah, like, you know, Joan Didion, like 1960s, 1970s. because The Year of Magical Thinking is from 2004, 4. So I just wanted something more her in her stride, shall we say. Maybe that's a bastardization, who knows. Somewhere out beyond Hollywood, hollowed out actress Mariah Waith's life plays out in a numbing routine of perpetual freeway driving. Urban sprawl. Say it with me, kids. Urban sprawl is the worst fucking thing ever. LA is just a curse of urban sprawl. Urban sprawl is one of the biggest things that is wrong with American cities. Car-centric urban sprawl. That's like, why would you want to live somewhere where all you can do to cross the city is drive and it takes you 5 fucking hours? Absolutely not. In her early 30s, divorced from her husband, dislocated from friends, anaesthetized to pain and pleasure, Waith is a woman who has run out of both desires and motives, the epitome of a generation made ill by too much freedom. I've done for like every single blurb I've read, for every single blurb I've read. I'm just excited, okay? I genuinely think this is like the most solid classic kind of classics book that I've done in like a long time. I'm actually really pleased with myself. It's part of my argument for why I read the classics. If you read the classics, the older stuff, it's all, you know, it's natural selection for books. You only keep reprinting the good stuff. Ooh, big font, good font, I like it. Very nice. I've done, as far as American literature goes, we know that I've had it's been a long journey for me in American literature. A lot of the early stuff I tried, fucking hated. I've done a lot of like East Coast stuff. If I'm gonna go venture out west to California, I think Joan Didion needs to be the right person to read for that. And also for reasons I will not elaborate on, my interest in California has suddenly been piqued. Joan Didion, you might be one for keeps. The same way that Mitford is, the same way that Calvino is. It's so fun when you find somebody whose like words you just gel with. I care more about like how people write their prose than I necessarily do about what their books are about, really. If you write good prose, like, because it's just, I've said this before, like when you read contemporary stuff you realise like a good prose is not a given. Like there are clearly people who write books that have not read enough and they just, there's so many things you can do with the words, why would you do something so pedestrian with them? Oh, it's painful, it's a waste of paper and trees. Now, moving forwards just a tad more, we're going to go to 1975. This is Primo Levi, The Periodic Table. I have said this before, I did a module in my undergrad on genocide. It was about Holocaust in Rwanda, and one of the people that was brought up a lot in that module regarding the Holocaust was Primo Levi. So he was an industrial chemist and an Auschwitz survivor. This is sort of biographical as far as I'm aware. Each element is taken and used as sort of like the leading thing or like theme through different chapters of Primo Levi's life. This isn't his memoir about surviving Auschwitz. That's in his novel If This Is Mann, like the book that is on screen for you at the moment. And it's one of these that I thought about buying a while ago, put it on the back burner, and then, like I mentioned already, I've bought David Damrosch's Around the World in 80 Books, and that's one of the ones that was listed. And it just reminded me of like how, yeah, I think I wasn't ready earlier on to read that kind of stuff because it is, you know, it's sad. But I think I'm getting to a point as a person where I've been reading just a lot more like, I can handle sad and heavier stuff because I myself am fine. So, you know, it's the reason that I'm happy to buy the bell jar, the reason that I'm reading The Year of Magical Thinking. I'm more grown, so I have more interest in reading more of like the heartbreaking, absolutely soul-shattering, tragic shit. A book it is necessary to read. In these haunting reflections, Primo Levi, a chemist by training, takes the elements of the periodic table as his inspiration. He ranges from young love to political savagery, from the inert gas argon and inert relatives like the uncle who stayed in bed for 22 years to life-giving carbon. Iron honours the mountain climbing resistance hero who put iron in Levi's student soul. Cerium recalls the improvised cigarette lighters which saved his life in Auschwitz, while Vanadium describes an eerie post-war correspondence with the man who had been his boss there. All are written with Levi's characteristically understated eloquence and shot through with deep humanity. Voted the best science book ever written by the Royal Institution. Yeah, it is autobiographical. This is just one of those that, you know, when you buy it and you're just like, this is gonna hurt. So yeah, there we are. Finally got some Primo Levi. Moving onwards to our dear friend. This is from 1995. This is Umberto Eco, 6 Walks in the Fictional Woods. So I think you guys know when I bought Calvino's 6 Memos millennium, what is it called? It's gone. This was basically his transcription of the lectures that he was giving, not finished giving because he died, the lectures he was giving for the Eliot Norton lectures, which are Harvard University lectures given by different people who are like prominent in like the arts and like literature. And Echo also did them. So this is Echo's version of 6 Memories for the Next Millennium. But this is 6 Walks in the Fictional Woods. This is a first edition, because I couldn't find it anywhere. Of course, it's also second hand. And it's funny because it says, Jesse, happy 23rd birthday, forever love. A signature I can't read, but that's very funny to me. This book has had a life before me. This is very much like on storytelling. I think it's 6 Walks in 6 Fictional Woods kind of reminds me of Rousseau's Reveries of the Solitary Walker. Those kind of like essays based on the fact that he goes for walks and then has ideas. So I kind of feel like this is probably in the same vein. I'm sure that there is like a intertextuality link between the two of those. But yeah, these are his lectures and it is kind of just, it's storytelling stuff. I read Name of the Rose, I think it was brilliant, and Echo was also a professor of stuff. My mum spent a year abroad in Italy, and apparently her room in the university was like near his department, so apparently she spent a lot of time going, never saw him, but like still like, good to see you. Smart person who's written about stuff he likes and has done it very goodly and then writes about other stuff. There's pictures in here. Yeah, I just feel like this seems all storytelling. And that is always going to float my boat, isn't it? In this book, Umberto Eco shares with us his secret life as a reader. His love for Mad magazine, for Scarlett O'Hara, for the 19th century French novelist Nerval's Sylvie, for Little Red Riding Hood, Agatha Christie, Agent 007 and his ladies. We see, hear and feel Umberto Eco, the passionate reader who has gotten lost over and over again in the woods, loved it and come back to tell the tale of tales. Eco tells us how fiction works, but he also tells us why we love fiction so much. There is no deconstructionist ripping the veil off the Wizard of Oz to reveal his paltry tricks, but the Wizard of Art himself, inviting us to join him at his level. The sorcerer inviting us to become his apprentice. This is gonna float my boat. Which again, so you know, I hope this isn't crap, because how can this sound like so up my street? This was like the only, I don't know if this is just me being daft and the only edition that I could find, but for this to be, I shouldn't have written in it. It was already written in Harvard University Press. Yeah, so when people do the lectures, they then like print like them afterwards. Maybe because it was too specialist and specific, I don't know. One of the first things he says in this essay, Entering the Woods, is I would like to begin by evoking the memory of Italo Calvino, who 8 years ago was invited to give his 6 Norton lectures, but who had time to write only 5 of them before leaving us. I invoke him not merely as my friend, but also as the author of If on a Winter's Night Traveller, because his novel is concerned with the presence of the reader in the story, and my lectures will to a great extent be devoted to the same subject. I will let you know how I get on with this, because, you know, this is a good one for me to explore and tell me if you guys should read it. But for all of the little students reading literature degrees, I don't know what the kids do these days. This might be an interesting one for you guys to check out. Quoting Echo in an essay on this kind of stuff would genuinely be in your favour. And now I'm moving on just a cheeky little bit past the 20th century, okay? I wanted to include this now. We're going to sneak away over to 2006 for what is already a classic. This is Cormac McCarthy, The Road. I also bought No Country for Old Men and a different one, The Blood Meridian, but I didn't like the editions, so I sent them back. But this is a Picador edition of The Road. No Country for Old Men is one of my favourite movies, and my mum has gone on and on about how, as a book, it's fantastic, which kind of meant that I didn't want to start with that one. And also, the other reason I mention him now is that he died very, very recently, just after his, he published his last book. I think I mixed this up with John Kerouac's novel, On the Road. So I think I mixed them up for a long time, but it's about time I get some Cormac McCarthy. In a burned out country, a father and his young son head slowly for the coast, with no idea what, if anything, awaits them. The landscape is destroyed, nothing moves save the ash on the wind, and cruel, lawless men stalk roadsides, lying in wait. Attempting to survive in this brave new world, the young boy and his protector have no choice but to keep walking. Winner of the Pulitzer Prize of Fiction, The Road is the story of a remarkable and profoundly moving journey, and an exemplar of post-apocalyptic writing. I think one of the other reasons that I've been drawn to this is my increasing anxiety about climate change and global warming. because this just starts feeling more and more plausible, you know, the more you read about extreme weather, the more you read about like fires and storms and just everything going to shit, that, you know, a post-apocalyptic read feels well placed, I guess. Ah, big font. Wow, big font. Wow, massive font. Interesting. Yeah, he died very recently. I think his last book was, he published, like, this was his last book. He published like one more, and then he was done. I quite like the idea that, you know, you just keep writing, always. You just keep making stuff. That inspired me to get more of his books, and would just rather just start. And I just would like a better relationship with American literature, as we know. And I guess something post-apocalyptic. Yeah, especially, you know, because this is all reading outside of like what I've historically read a lot of, as you know, which is 19th century, 18th century, the medieval stuff, all that kind of, all of that. Oh no, am I going to add too many? I think I'm going to put too many new Penguin Modern Classics on and not have any room. Oh well, but we know that my perpetual having no space on my bookshelves is just, it's a canon event where you do not interfere. Yeah, I just thought it was time for Cormac McCarthy. A lot of these books, again, is in line with me growing up and like feeling like I'm ready to read. It just feels like more grown-up stuff. But yes, there we go. Those are the new 20th century acquisitions to my library, shall we say. I will not say new things I impulse bought. No, these acquisitions, in part of helping build a library. That's what matters, okay? That's how, when I know you've probably already opened Amazon on a different tab while listening to me looking for other books, that's how we're justifying our purchasing. Guys, it's fine, it's totally fine. You know, I bought like 7 of these in one go with cash. It's not, you know, this is the only girl math I want to partake in. It's like, look, if I paid cash for all these books, they were free, so it's fine. That is another sizable dent, not out of my bank account, well yes, out of my bank account, but more into my bookshelf space. But these are the problems you want in life. Yes, there we go. Let me know in the comments what your favourite 20th century stuff is. Let me know if you've read any of these. I'm sure you will. I'm pretty sure every single one of these is a classic. So very, very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts. And I will soon be sharing with you mine. I'm excited about all the books. But yes, thank you very, very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Oh, you can follow me on Goodreads, obviously, at Angeline. Or if you want to stay more in the loop, I'm also at Sarcastic Fish. When I buy books, I do usually post them on my Instagram story first. You know, if you want the exclusive, the Emma exclusive. But yes, there we are. Thank you very, very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I will see you hopefully very soon. Bye bye. Which always piques my imagination. Which always piques my interest in my imagination.